Kiken Tai Chi, which means your body and mind, or mind and body. Now, with a lot of clubs, and mine included, we do more about body than we do about mind. I think it's a big thing that's lacking in the whole martial art world, possibly, with my limited knowledge and my limited experience. Obviously, I'm heavily Wado orientated or influenced. So I really like Venn diagrams, as you know, right? One is mind and the other one is body. And we mainly train in this one because we do our Kihon, we do our Kata, we do our partner work. I'll just put part, yeah, because I can't spell the rest. All right, and the other one is sparring. We do sparring, don't we? Yeah? But we don't do a lot with this. And that's what we need to get this. Instead of being this, we need to do this to find this bit. Do you agree? And when we get as good with this as we are with this, because most of you here are senior grades, we really want to get it overlapping. Do you agree? Once you've got this and this together, that's what your martial art, that's what your karate, that's what your development should be. Right? And sadly, so what we're going to do is we're going to spend a little bit of time today on mind. The more experience you get, the more comfortable you are with the body. The mind has to be dragged along with it. It can't work, it can't function in karate without you using your mind. Okay? We're going to go back and we're going to do a little bit more of this exercise that we're doing. Okay, for those Wado guys, it's key on number 1. All right? But don't tell the others. But I'm teaching you indirectly to do key on number 1 because we're going to use that as a basis of some of this material that we're going to use today. Okay, it's not difficult. Well, it is. Okay, so ready? Back into line. Right leg. Wash. So I want you to move back and bring your arm up. Wash. Now I want you to drop with your left. Now turn and back. Ready? Ish. Ni. San. And push back. Ready? Ish. Ni. San. Ready? Ish. Ni. San. And get back into your position. Can we do that in one now? Yes or no? Ready? Ish. Ni. Ish. Eyame. Enure. Eyazme. So today, unfortunately, he's listening to me a lot. So what I want you to do, can you come a bit closer? If I could teach you how to read minds, I could make 1 million. The unfortunate bit is, if I could teach you how to read minds, you'd all know how to read minds, we might not as well do karate, because we could have we could just look and stare at each other and understand what we're saying to each other. But unfortunately, karate is not like that. Definitely not. Okay? So, I can just remember when I was competing, I'd know my number that I was fighting in the team event. I would always try and find the teams that we were going to compete against and look at their equivalent number. I know sometimes they'd switch the numbers around, so that'd really screw me up. But I'd try and watch that fighter because I've never seen him before. I didn't know him. Yeah? If he turned out to be an international and he's world famous, yeah, you've almost lost it before you've started. So it's about looking at somebody and assessing them. It's your eyes that do the first initial contact. So, come on, James. Okay, and this is going away, but I know Jim's very good at boxing as well. So if I'm going to spar with Jim, I know that he's going to have a good go at doing the Marshigiri, and I know his boxing's going to come on. Yeah? All right? Okay? So, thank you. Oops. Okay, Paul. Paul I know very well because he's one of my students. Right? Paul is very strong. And if I get behind one of his punches, I know it's going to hurt, even though he doesn't mean it, because he hasn't really found out to relax yet. Okay? Okay? Sensei, can I use you, please? Okay. Now, forgive me for this, but I don't know you at all. I'm hoping to in the future, but I don't know. But I'm going. He's a big guy. He's experienced. I know he does Shotokan. So he's going for the big number one hit. None of this sparring, but I know from Shotokan old days, these guys are clued up for the one hit. And I quite admire that because most fights outside of here is over in seconds. Yeah, they don't spar around for 5 minutes, getting a sweat on. Yeah, it's usually bish, bash, bosh, finished, isn't it? Yeah, so I do have time for this one hit or one kick. But I don't know. I don't know how he moves. I don't know how he thinks. All I can see is what I'm viewing. Yeah? Thank you, Sensei. Thank you. So, what I want you to do, and these are small exercises, I want you to find somebody that you don't know, which is a bit difficult because I know some of you have been to the courses before and some of you are teaching and all that. But try and find somebody that you don't know and try and get that imprint of what your initial feelings are. Do you understand what I'm saying? It won't take long, but it's getting your brain to think and to look. You got that? It won't take long, but find somebody that you don't know. Carry on. Okay, yeah, man. Yeah, man. The problem is you're all nice to each other. You're all laughing. And right, now, Mark, can I borrow you? Now, I want you to take fighting stance. Yeah, man. I want you to feel the difference. You got that? Just try. If you want to change partners, change partners. If you want to, or keep with your partner, but find that difference mentally. Find the difference. You don't have to do anything. Move around a little bit. Yeah? See how he reacts. Yeah? Get this going. Ready? Carry on. Okay, yeah, man. Change partners. Change partner. Have a think about that person, not about what you're going to attack with. Think about what you're feeling. I know you're all good fighters. I've sparred with lots of you. Okay, so that should have sort of changed your mind about from just a person to having somebody in front of you. There's 5 minds in martial arts. Okay, does anybody want to hazard a guess with one of them? Fudishin. Yeah, it is. Fudo-shin. Another one? Zanshin. I'll go through the meanings in a minute. Ki and mai are good, but they're not in these that I've got wrote down here. Sorry. 5 Japanese, yes, they are. They play an important role. Anybody else? Mushin. I'll go through these in a minute. Those that you've just said are within lots of these. Right? Another? Shoshin. That's a good one. Many people miss that. The H isn't there, so shin. Next one. This one's a difficult one. Senshin. Now, I love Japanese words. I can't remember them, but I love Japanese words because they encompass more than just a saying. They mean a lot of things. Unfortunately, you have, like, forgive me, but you'll have the English word, you'll have a straight translation, yeah, in kanjin, right? And then you'll have a translation of what originally this means. But really, this means a lot more than just a straight translation. Do you get that? And this is where karate in general screwed up when the Japanese first came over in the 60s. They took a Japanese word and did a straight translation to it. And it got so confused and so, it just didn't work. So using their own words and making us use our brains meant a lot. So let's take the first one, really. Soshin or Shosin. It means you've come into the lesson and you're ready to learn. If you haven't gone into the dojo and you're not ready to learn, why be there? So again, it's a mind thing. Okay? Zanshin. It's about awareness. Before, during, and after the event. Yep. I won't do this one in red, but okay. Fudoshin. Yeah, it means I am not going to lose. It's not going to beat me. Whether it's a technique, whether it's a kata, whether it's a fight, yeah, whether it's a problem, an issue, I'm not going to give up. Yep. Might need some advice, but I'm not going to give up. Yeah? Mushin. No mind. That doesn't mean you go. Yeah. It means that when you're with a partner, You cannot think about what am I doing tomorrow? I've had an issue and I've still got it at work. You cannot think about that. This is one of the best ones you can have for people who are under a lot of stress at work. Because they go training and that for 2 hours, or wherever long your session is, they forget this. They forget their problems, they forget their issues. Yeah, I used to use that a lot when I used to go anywhere and everywhere to train, just to get away from work. Yeah, so that I can sleep at night. Yeah? Okay, the other one, really difficult to get. Senshin, it means you are proficient at your martial art, but you've also taken it through into your life. You're at peace with everything. I only know one person in this room that I think has got that. Maybe their training needs a little bit more, a few more years, but the way they live their life, the way they conduct themselves, it's difficult. I can't do that. Where's Kerry gone? Kerry can't do it. We will never be able to achieve this. Because outside of karate, I'm a very intolerant guy. Things really, and I can't get rid of that. It's just my failing. I wished I could. Right? So we're going to go back and we're going to do a few more kions. Yeah? And then we'll come back to the board again. All right? Okay, let's go again. Yoi. Junzuki dargamai. Ready. Junzuki. Aish. Aish. Together. Hey, oi. Junzuki dargamai. Ready. Junzuki. Aish. Aish. Moati Jodan Agyuki. Yeah, man. As we get old, changing the subject slightly, but we need to have these kions in the course to get people body working. So as we get old, we have to think a lot more on how we move. Because if we try and put a lot of tension and a lot of power into our techniques, you're using up energy that your body, as you get older, can't really store, and your muscles, so you need to get your body to work. So when you move, start moving your knee, because that starts moving the body weight forward. So try and get this knee to move first. Yeah, and step. And there's a thing here called Najire, which is torsion. Learn to relax. It throws. So it's not about stepping quick and punching hard. It's about managing and relaxing. So think about how you move and try and get less tension. Make the move work for you. So left. Ready. Aish. Aish. Moati Jodan Agyuki. So, Kata, kick, keri aizuki. Yeah? We call it keti junzuki. So make sure you do your kete first. Ready? Try and relax. There's nobody in front of you. Nobody in front of you, so you're kicking fresh air. So try and be as one with your body. Ish! Kata mwati jo danagyuki. So kick, turn, and head not getting hit. Amen. Can you make sure you can see? So a kete junzuki, how many techniques are there? 2. So you wouldn't sacrifice one to affect the other one, have a detrimental effect to it. So when you're carrying, you need to have your balance. So that means you stand on one leg. So your body has to move and move again. So it's moving off target and back on again, off the center line and back on again. The other thing is you need to get your hip. When you zuki, you don't do this. There's tension here, right? You lift and you turn your hip. There's no tension. It's by moving your body around. So the same applies with your legs, but it's even my legs are longer than my arms. Wish they were longer, but God gave me these, so I have to use them. So I need to put I call these my shoulders, and these my hips, because they have to work together. So I'm going to try and put my leg shoulders, into the center. Not keep this square, because your body, your hip is fighting against it. So you need to try and put your hip where it is for your maigeri. So turn your hip, then make sure your hip's in the right place to do a good keri. Yeah? It's just a checklist. I know a lot of you are already doing that. But sometimes when people are first learning it, they're trying to do this with their leg. Yeah? But put your hip in. Flow. Flow. Put it in the right place. Ready? Yoi. See. Hey, Junzuki Dagamai. So again, try and get your hip in the right place to do the keri. Ready? Yeah, pull the heel back and make sure you project in your hip in. Good. Hey, Yame. Hey, Nore. Hey, Yazme. We can't read each other's mind, but we can detect things with our eyes. But the other thing to recognize is you can detect things with your hand a lot quicker than you can do with your eyes. When you first start sparring or you're fighting, a lot of it is to do with your eyes and your impression, and you're trying to see how they're moving. But the first little bit of contact, and I'm going to use this word again and again, connect and connectivity. Yeah, this is the start of it, but it's a very basic, brutal connection. So, I know you're itching to punch me, come on. So, fighting stance. So, Keri is going to try and punch me, gakuzuki, yeah? So, turn around a little bit so you guys can see. So, when you get this connectivity, it's just a moment in time. And all that is like a self-preservation. I don't want him to hit me. If I could actually try and keep that connection, I can feel whatever Sensei Keri's potential next move is going to be. We're going to do an exercise with it later, but Relax now. My turn later. Connection. I'll just use the one rather than connectivity as well. It's the Japanese word for it is, don't worry about remembering this one, because I'm going to put cross through it anyway in a minute. So the word for Japanese word for connection is basically Tsunagari. But that is just a straight translation. So what I'm doing is I'm taking the English word and changing it into Japanese, and really that's the same as when the Japanese first came over and translated Japanese to English. So don't worry about that word, but it's this connection that you're trying to get. So when you do your research on this, connection, but if you put connection, anybody? If you do your research and put connection Budo. Budo is a way of life. It's martial arts. It's a lot of different disciplines, but we are encompassed in this. And those who are trained with Sensei Schmitz will know these two words, but you have to look at them slightly different, right? One is called Ma'ai, and the other one is called Mushin. But we have a small sort of description of what they mean. We've already talked about Mushin having this blank, this open mind, and Ma'ai is about distance while you're using your partner work or sparring. It's this, but they mean more than that. Ma'ai, we'll deal with this one first, and we're going to, with a partner. Okay, so I'll take my glasses off first. Thank you. How many distances are there? If you start off with 3, there is a 4th, but the 4th one doesn't mean anything. Sensei Bruce, can you come out? Here, take a fighting stance. Doesn't matter whichever one, just that's it. So this one is nothing. This one is nothing. Okay, when I start moving in, can you see that movement he's just made? That's a natural, he's getting too close. And he's getting too close because I'm in my kicking distance, my keri distance. After the keri distance, you go in, and again, it's punching distance. So keri, zuki. Fighting distance, keri distance, punching distance. Yeah, man. And I think a lot of us have actually forgotten about how to use your brain. That sounds bad. This is territorial. Territorial gym. So, the core of your brain, then the rest of your brain is around it. The core of your brain is from when you were reptiles, sitting on a stone, taking up the race. And then somebody else, some other lizard jumps onto, it's my rock. They've gone onto your territory. You're not comfortable with them there. You're territorial. So you have to take it with this mental aspect of, I have to get serious now, yeah? I'm encroaching on that person. So what I want you to do, just quickly, it won't take long, partner off with somebody, find that distance, yeah, and then move in, yeah. It only might be this move, yeah, for the kick, or it might mean a large movement for a punch. But try and detect it in your brain where they are coming into those distances. If you've got a tall person, shame. All right? If you've got a small person, happy days. Okay? But you have to work around it. I have to be a lot quicker than tall people. All right? So can you just try that and find it and feel it in your brain and your body? Yeah? Wish? Thank you. Detect fighting distance, detect keri distance, detect punching distance. Get somebody you don't know, possibly. Won't take long, but detect it. If you're having problems detecting that distance, then let me know and I will come and have a look. Carry on. Okay, yeah, man. Can you change with another partner? But I'm seeing it's turning into a sparring lesson. I ain't got a problem with that, but we're trying to learn something else. Yeah, we're trying to learn this distance, so it can be just small, minute moves that you need, or shuffling in, and see their reaction. Yeah? We're not trying to learn a physical technique. We're trying to get this understanding distance and how people move. Yep. Carry on. Change partners. We're not going to be on this very long. Okay. Move in, move in. Take full advantage, fill your bucket up. Okay, yeah, man. Interesting there was an odd number. So, Mark had to deal with 2 people. So he's having to work twice as hard. Actually, it's making you think about distance a lot more because you are gauging. Gauging? That's a foreigner, isn't it, in Japanese? Okay? So if you watch, you 3 of you out there, Mark now has to work twice as hard, using his brain and thinking about distance. Carry on. Don't want anybody on the floor. Yeah, man, yeah, man. Now it's turned into a sparring session because the concentration has gone, which is understandable, and that's why Bish Bash Bosh fights are over in 30 seconds, if that. Yeah, so having this mindset. Now, I want to come back to Ma'ai. It means more than just a working distance. It's an optimum distance for mind. Not mind transfer, but a conflict of minds, or, yeah? So if I use Mark, okay. So we can take fighting distance, but somewhere along the line, both of us we're at our optimum distance. I'll show you how to cheat that after, right? But this at the moment is, I don't want to go any further because I know Mark's got longer limbs than me anyway, and he's a strong guy. So I don't want to go any further, and I think you're sort of the same, yeah? So Ma'ai as well is an optimum distance for both partners. So it's not just about correct distance as you're moving around in your partner work. Yeah, you start off with mai, and then you go into mai when things are. But it's finding that optimum distance, and that's what when you're grading. Sorry to bring it down to this, but this is the distance you need to get when you are doing your ippons, your okomitis, anything, kions. It's that optimum distance before, yep. So I want to go on to the next part now, and we've done it before, touched on it, but again, it's about your eyesight and your feelings, right? So if Mark gets up, right, I'll go in here. So I do not want to defend, I just want to keep my mai, but I want to detect any movement that Mark makes. Now you can attack if you want. I don't want to go through that wall though, okay? I've still got another hour and a half to do. So I'm just watching. I want you to say to the person, you've moved, you're attacking, just by going, ah. And that means you've detected that move. It's difficult, Mark was doing a lot of, which is difficult to detect. We're going to go back to this in a sec. That's why when you go to competitions, a lot of people are doing this. To disguise the attack. Yeah? Sorry, can't deal with that. Cannot deal with that. I think happy days. 50% of the time, they're just bouncing up in the air. That's a great time to attack. Yeah, but bouncing up and down, it just gives me a headache. I don't know about you, but I'm old school. I would just have to wait. And wait for that opportunity to see Mark move. Okay, then decide I'm going to attack. All right, so you can do things, and we'll come back to this in a sec, to try and, we've got another session of this, but to try and understand or see there's this moving around, but if you're not experienced with it, just stand there and then try and do a maigeri, or try and do a punch, or try and do a gakuzuki. The more experience of you, just move around a little bit. But you should be able to detect how earnest their attack is going to be. A lot of the time you can ignore, because your experience and the way they're moving doesn't mean anything. Because you found your mushin, your empty mind. I'm not bothered about those small little movements. Okay, but if I detect one, I want to go for it. Don't hit each other hard. The main thing I want you to do is just detect when they start to move. It can be a punch, it can be a maigeri, but just detect it and just verbally make them aware that you've seen it. Yes? Carry on with the partner. Let them know, just go, oi, or yes, or whatever you want to do, but make sure verbal. Oi, yeah. Nice and relaxed, doesn't have to be just a gesture. Good. Yes, because he's moving. He's moving because he's detecting. But he's watching the body, the mechanics of the body, just a little bit. And then it's harder when they're moving around. It's difficult to see them. What's your other favourite sport? Pardon? What's your other favourite sport? Fishing. Great. I'll call women. Sorry. Fishing, and it doesn't mean on the North Sea, it means angling. I call mushin my angling mind because I don't fish. So I appreciate people who do it, right? But it wasn't on rivers around where I'm from, it's a canal. So if you want to catch a shopping trolley, brilliant, okay? But you'd see, when I was a kid, it's a play area, isn't it, canal? But you'd see these old guys and they'd be on their fishing baskets, sitting on them, right? And they would just be waiting for that float to just, and boop, they've got it. They'd be concentrating so much, the fag in their mouth would be burning up there, right? That was back in the 50s, 60s. Okay, and when it was, but it's that concentration, this mushin, this get away from the missus, sorry, this is get away from work, this is a different mindset. So, mushin can be affected by distraction. He's fishing, he sees a blue flash. Was it a kingfisher? Don't know. Yeah? Some kid goes behind him and rings a bell. It's distraction. So you need to understand how to distract people from their mindset of mushin, when they're sparring. And there's lots of ways to do it, and you must have come across it before when you've been sparring. Okay, James, can I borrow you, please? Okay, so we'd be sparring, right? So we're both in that mindset, but just a quick, he thinks I'm attacking his leg to distract, and then you would go in. Or it would be over there. My hands would go. For instance, he would
adapt.
Yeah. I'm trying to distract him. I'm trying to take his mushin away by this distraction. Whether it's here, because he thinks I'm attacking his leg, or whether it's here, or moving across, I'm breaking his train of thought. So I want you to try that. You don't have to start kicking and punching each other, you just have to, take in the distraction to get him away. But have a reset. Give the person time to get into that zone of watching you move. And then have a little bit of time to reset your brain into that mushin. Yes? Use your ma'ai, get into that optimum distance. Get your head around this mushin, and then decide who's going to distract. Okay? Yeah? Carry on. So we talked about ma'ai being an optimum distance from your partner. This distraction, deception, and untruth It's part of another Japanese terminology, ukiyo-jitsu. A false, an untruth. To distract, to take their mushin away. Yeah, so it's worth remembering this word, ukiyo-jitsu. Yeah, to distract. Yeah, we have some in our Renraku Wazu. Yeah, those who are taking the downgrading with the Wado Academy. Yeah, you can use that as not just a strike, but a distraction to get your maigeri in. So you really need to get comfortable with the optimum position. And this is to deal with your fighting distance, keri distance, zuki distance. It's not just about an optimum position, it's getting into those positions. Mushin, try and think about this, not thinking about anything. Use it outside of life. Use it to forget things that's been on your mind for a long, long time. It's a distraction. Distraction, deception, ukiyo-jitsu. So, when you first of all take the attack, it's not just a collision. If you can take control of that attack, that's even better. Fighting stance. So move, make sure you can see. So, when the zuki comes to the face, as hard as you want. I'm relying on seeing his movement. I'm relying on feeling that movement, and I'm doing the minimum amount of work. Because I held the connection, I can feel his energy coming in and I can redirect it. It's called inasu. So the harder he strikes, the more committed he is. If it's a fake, then... So I want you to, again, we're going to start getting into this touching, control. So go away with your partner and try. Just lift your hand. That's the simplest thing ever. But you're keeping that connectivity here. Not, he's back onto me. Okay, just feel that. Feel it with your partner. Push, carry on. Can you try and use suri? You've heard of surikami maigeri? Suri, it's like rubbing. Kamishtai, rice paper thickness. Surikami. So the same with this, not stopping here. I want to just travel along. But Mark's doing the travelling. I'm just stopping where I am, but my hand. And there's an optimum position. I need to start altering the direction when I get by his elbow. If I do it by his wrist's here. If I do this, his elbow. Yeah, if I do this, it's very strong, it's by his body. So the optimum position is by the elbow. So this, when I get by his elbow, or near enough to his elbow, that's the time to deflect it. Yes, carry on. Yeah, man. These are things that hopefully you'll take away and maybe do at your own club. Just think about it. Okay, so what I need to try and do now is detect in a slightly different way. This is when they have. Anybody want to have a go? We have a go every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. No, that's fine. We haven't practiced this, honestly. So, can you come round? Because these techniques are getting a little bit, so, grab. So, that's fine. So, I want you to detect a movement now. So the movement is Paul is going to start walking towards me. I don't want that. So I feel that movement before most probably before his body's moved. So, close your eyes, think of England, here, just feel them moving. Key on number one. Here, we're going to hopefully get time to do this, but whenever you're ready. I can feel his movement before he's done it. Yeah, well, you know he's going to punch Jodan, and you know he's going to punch Chudan. But you can manage that. For instance, if I'm here, Paul is not going to punch me to the face because my hand is blocking. He's more likely to punch here or kick here. So if I'm trying to read his mind or manage his mind, I just want to slightly. Now, he's more likely now to punch Jodan. So what I've indirectly done, I've managed Paul. I know that he's going to punch high. It might be a Jun, it might be a Gaku. It won't be anything low, because by doing this subtly, I've now tempted him to punch Jodan. Because I'm up here, he's got a great big opening here to go at. So, I want you to feel them moving. Yeah, just by closing your eyes. Detecting that movement. That's why you're going to feel when you've done the partner work and you're with them. Judokas use it. Jiu-jitsu guys use it. We don't, because there's this separation. There's not the connect here. Okay, so feel this connection. It won't take seconds. Carry on. You do the same thing, but two different ways to do it. Okay, Sensei, can I borrow you? Wish grab. Tight. Okay, now move. Okay, relax. Now, lightly. This one's more difficult because it's light, and I can make that move as soon as it's the muscle connection. It's detecting very early. If you can just relax, it's more difficult to detect. So can you try that? Feel and find the difference between holding somebody tight and holding somebody just lightly and still trying to move. Do you understand? Yeah? Wish, carry on. So, not my guys, who knows about Tanai, Tantei, Tangi? Tanai? Yeah. This is when you start using, Tanai is moving your head or your body, or both. Tentai is making sure you are not only moving it, but you are turning. You're turning. Tengi is putting those two together and making sure that you're in a position to actually defend or attack. So you must move your head. So when somebody's attacking, you manage them to punch to your head, and then the rest will follow. Right? Or if it's high, they're punching here. So you manage them, you move your body. Yeah? Then you need to be into a position to actually attack using Tenai, Tentai, Tengi. So, you feel the move. Walk. Okay, now I'm going to use my body and my head. But he still thinks, because he's got my hand, he still thinks I'm going that way. If I start to, he's going to change directions. He's going to come at me. So I want to be moving, but here. Move. He's got your wrist. Move your body, but let the arm come through. Move that way as well. Move, move, move. Move your body. Turn. I'm in a position. It's detecting. As he moves, I move my body, but I try and leave my arm going in a false direction. Moving my body, turning my body, going into a place where don't worry about this, I can come around if you're not too sure of it. It's what we call Goshin Ho. Yeah, self-defense, it's jiu-jitsu. We have a legacy of it from Otsuka I. He was a jiu-jitsu expert before he did karate. Yeah, so, but it's about feeling it, feeling it moving forward, moving my body, but leaving a trace of where I was. And then turning and... Do you get that? Yeah? If If you're not too sure, come round and I'll show you the lock. If you want to come round close, that's fine. I'll be coming around. But you put your hand half on their hand and half on your wrist. Stow, the other part is stow, over, down. Okay, but this is the main thing. Okay, carry on. So, Sensei. To recall it, it's as soon as you feel move into a place. Now, we want to, thank you, thanks. So we want to use it doing what I call Kyo number 1. And if you don't know it, that's what we were doing right at the beginning. 1, 2. Yep. But we're going to concentrate on just the first move to start off with. Okay? Fighting stance. So move round if you... So we've used our ma'ai to get optimum distance. I'm relaxed. Yeah? The zuki is coming to the face. I collect it. But I keep the contact. So I'm actually not there. You know when you did this, he caught and then you sort of moved and your hand carried on in the same direction. So really all I'm doing is this. But I'm moving my head and my body out the way. But this is because this is where they are zuking, this is where they are punching to. So I'm moving, I'm using tenai, tentai, tengi. Which you could say it's taisabaki. It's a small body movement, the minimal amount required. So get with your partner, face them off. When they lunge forward, get contact and redirect. Take control. With a minimum amount of collision. So I'm using their energy from attacking me to actually moving me. So there, touch move. So I'm out of their attack. I've moved direction. I've disturbed their momentum by not being there. I've done my ukiyo jitsu. I've destroyed their momentum. I've destroyed their attack by not being there. So get with your partner and just try. And you see when they're moving, try to bring it together. When we see the attack, and we've managed the attack by just dropping it slightly, trying to bring everything together. Okay? Carry on. You really need to know how your wrists are working. And people say, how much do I turn? How much do I... You find this out by doing a jiu-jitsu move. Come on, Ryan. You see that arm pop then? Because I'm using this shoulder. So it's no good going. But here. Turning. So really it's the opposite side. And my elbow. If I do this, Ryan's going to grab it harder. But by dropping, if I do it from here, so with your partner, drop, start moving off the center line. Bring your elbow in. And here. Shotgun, guys, is it Sanshin? Sanshin? This connection here. So it's about your elbow. But being able to move it without them detecting. I'm leaving my hands where they are. I'm dropping my elbow. So you can feel very little. You can see me moving at the moment because I'm dropping my knees. But soft knees, Sensei Shimizu was always on about soft knees. Here. But here. Can you feel that? Do that. Carry on. But your wrists as well. I know we're using the Wado technique called Kion number 1. Right? It's about Taisoboki and that. But you should still be able, it's just using it as a tool to demonstrate a different aspect, a different way of doing it. Yeah, so again, how much do I turn? So we can do that with a jiu-jitsu move, and it's a little bit difficult to see, but we'll try and demonstrate it. Okay, anybody? Yeah, come on then, Cash. So here, Nosh, grab. Can you come round? Can you? So you. Relax a sec. Mm-hmm. So I know these are my shoulders, and these are my arms, and this is my hip, and these are my legs. But I want you to think that these are my shoulders, and these are my arms, and these are my legs, and this is my hip. So when I say bend my knees, I know there's going to be a gakuzuki, but we're concerned about keeping this tactile, this touch. And we come down. The natural thing to do would be to drop. I won't do that again.
That's all right.
So we're going to move again off center. Because I've changed my center, he's still thinking about this center now. He's changed from that center to this center. So I need to move my body again. So keep grabbing. Can you come around here? Keep grabbing. So, as a child, did you play on a seesaw? You had a barrel or a stone, a plank, and it rocked. This is your stone, and this is the one that you are going to lever around. So, one, drop, start to move with this and your hip. Can you see how I've blocked it with a stone? Now I'm going to use leverage to pop this one out. So it's a technique that speed and muscle, you don't need it. You just you need to use physics here. If you understand that, this isn't practical at all. You would not do that in a fight. But this is telling you how much you need to turn your body. This is telling me to drop my knees and to move offline and to use this hip. I know there's another punch here coming, but to move. How much do I know how to turn this hip around? Here, here. That's the correct amount. And we can use this to do a lot of gauge work. Any engineers here? Go, no go, gauges and all that sort of things, yeah? But, okay. If you got a tennis ball, that's fine. If you do this is correct distance for seishan. Correct distance for, or position for your fighting stance. Correct position for your kion. Just by here, 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 hip, back. So can you get with your partner and try and find this position where you can let go. Okay, carry on. Whoosh. This time you're not going to be there. But you are going to be there when it matters. I'm only going to put the effort in to where it's needed. So be very, very careful. If your partner is up for it, yes, have a go. 1 or 2, that's enough. 1, 2. I can punch. Okay, he's got the Benkyo badge now. Okay, but hit. If not, it's this moving. This moving. It's about movement. By detecting his move, and we'll go into that next. And now you can stop me from detecting it. That's the clever part. Okay? Toisabaki, body movement. Tenai, you're reading his moves. You're managing where you want him to hit you. Jodan. Chudan. Yep. Karen, be careful. Make sure you check with, oops, I just smashed the mic. Okay? Just be careful what you're doing. Carry on. Oish. But try not to be there. It's telling me that I can see their technique, I'm managing his technique to a certain extent, and I'm making sure that I'm using the full body movement. Yeah? Mind and body together. Does anybody know what this is apart from my guys? It's a kid's toy, Japanese toy. Yeah. This is only as quick as this one. It's not. It has to work together, not separate. This is impossible unless I sellotape the one side. Yeah? But you have to use the hip the opposite way. Yeah, and the quicker you pull the hip back, the quicker the punch goes. But only if you're relaxed. If you're stiff, if these were hard rods, it wouldn't be able to move. So it's nice and fluid and relaxed. So, I want to show you how to cheat, how to do the ukiyo, but on the attack. Yeah? My turn now. Fighting stance. So, you've seen things happen visually. So I don't really want to give any visual away. So, one easy method. Stance. You're getting old, mate. So, I want to move forward, but I don't want to show I'm moving forward. So, frustrating you, isn't it?
Not yet.
This is the easy way. I'm not moving my hands, I'm not moving my body. But what I am doing is I'm cheating.
I know that. I just can't suss it out at the minute.
My knees are bending. Now you can see it. But I'm actually doing this with my body. I'm leaning back very, very slightly because my knee's going forward. If I bend this, my body will go forward. If I bend this knee but leave my body where it is, I've gained maybe a third of the movement of the attack. And this is why you need to box clever. Yeah? It's not about trying to be fast off here, but it's about trying to gain. Now you're aware of it. Now you've seen it, you can react. So first of all, I just want you to try a couple of those. The time's running out and I've got so much more. Yeah? All right, so get with your partner, just do about 3 or 4 each, and he knows what you're doing now because I've just told you what he's doing. But getting this, to get the attack in, you're gaining that's probably a third of your distance. You're going to be quicker because you've managed what you were doing. Carry on. So, relax.
I get told,
not relaxed.
I get told that all the time. I need one of the more body massages.
Relax. I mean, doing this is on God straight away. If I do this, if I'm making him feel at home, I'm relaxed. Good. Yeah. Just if you watch Otsuka the Third, then see he's been trying to bring this internal workings happening. And again, it's something that you can't see, so it's very, very difficult to teach. It's a feeling that you have to get. So I'll go and get another toy in a minute. I haven't got it in there. So it's about what I'm doing is I'm doing this. But at the same time, I want to be doing the opposite with my top half. Spring. Yeah, spring. It is spring, isn't it? So, I haven't got 3 hands, so I need, so, no, can you hold it in the middle? Right in the middle. Yeah. That's your hip. So, what I'm going to try and do is, I'm going to hold it tight. I'm going to turn this one here, muscles inside, and then let it go. And it springs back. Yes? Now the top, I'm going to spring the other way. Keep that for me for a sec, okay? So how many types of energy are there? I know some of you know, and you've got potential and kinetic. So potential it's potentially there. It's a stored energy. It's potential to use it. Kinetic is when it's actually happening. So what you're doing is you are generating this potential, and then you are letting it go. Yeah, so, can you keep that for me for a bit? So imagine a spring. What I'm doing is I'm pulling this back, and I'm actually turning the hip the other way. Then I'll let it go. Fighting stance. Get my moosh in. I'm watching him. While he's doing that, he's not seeing me, hopefully. But then, good one, because he's expecting it. You want to release that. Hip pulling back, shoulders, body, top portion is, then let it go. If you combine it with your cheating distance as well, you ready?
Yeah. You've got to like your teeth though.
You can speed up your punches. And that's what I'm on about. When you get older, you need to understand your techniques, how they work, and maximize that rather than using. What you've got to be careful, you're going to go away and try that, okay? But it's took a few years to fully, not fully, I'm just touching, just a little bit, trying to understand what he's doing. Yeah, so get with your partner, they can put the hand up like that so as you can, but try and feel this torsion one way, torsion up the other, and it's, try and use that spring going to try and affect your speed. Yes? Carry on. I said it was difficult. It's difficult to appreciate. Be very careful when you're doing this. If you wish to practice at your own dojo or practice on your own, be careful because your muscles, they like to work in an elasticity way. With metal, They have a token, and they find out the ductility of it. So they've cast some metal, and they neck it down in the middle, and they hold it. And what they do is they try and do this. It's very, very small, very, very small, right? And then it goes into plasticity. Then it snaps. You get a yield point, you get the elasticity range, then you get a yield where it won't go back, and then it goes to plastic. So you've got to be very careful what you're doing with your hips and your muscles, right? Tomorrow, no, it's Monday tomorrow, it's bank holiday, I can't feel pain then. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's usually 3 days after, I will ache because your muscles aren't used to it. You have to keep it in that elasticity range. Don't hold it. Create it, use it. Create it, use it. So now I can use it for defense as well. This time I'm inverting everything. So that when this attacks, I release it. This is what you're going to have to try yourself. So you can use it to attack, but you can also use it for your defense as well. And it's a similar sort of move, but it depends which anchorage point you release. So if I'm attacking, it's very easy to remember. It's the front one that I release because I want to attack forwards. Similar, but this time I release the back one because I'm going into a defensive. Yes? No? So it's not really just pushing forward or pushing and pulling. If you can generate this energy within your hips, within your body, without showing them. Yeah? It's a difficult subject, difficult timing, but as you get older, you need to find other ways. So, how do I compensate for that? And you can use these for any techniques. I'll attack. We clear? I'm attacking. So, first one is I attack Jodan. Okay, next one is I'm punching here. And punch. All the way through.
Right through.
All the way through. One. And out. Wrong way, but it doesn't matter. How do I, as an attacker, manage you? Because I've been talking about you managing your moves and your defense. Okay? And what's the first thing we use when we partner off with somebody? We assess them. We assess them when they go into their fighting stance. But that's really using your eyes. Yeah? If they haven't got their eyes, they have to use the feeling. Bear with me on this, it's difficult to... So, I can use all this good stuff at the moment, but I'm going to give my body a relax. So I'm just going to use my speed. All right, so here. He can't really see what he can just about, but he can't really see everything I'm doing. But as soon as I start to do this, he's felt it, he's seen it. So this is the cunning plan, right? You attack. I don't move this. I don't move it at all. You never felt anything through the part when I was connected. So the punch goes in, my head's down. If you see photos of Sensei Schmitz, his head's always, punching, head down, not this, head down. Now, without moving this at all, really, it's unfair. I love to do this at summer courses with people that I don't normally train with. And they go, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing? I'm cheating. Yeah? 1. Don't move this. Come on, you're younger than me. How old are you?
75.
This is where a culmination of what we've been doing today. You have to sense this second attack. Right? First one. 1. Okay, yeah. Better. So get with your partner and try doing this one and not. Where are you going?
I've seen your head move.
Okay, then try and. Yeah, without letting this go. Let him detecting it, this movement. Okay, carry on. We know how to use these internal, or we're trying to use these internal muscles to attack. And depending on the time in between, how good your internal muscles are to reset and recharge again, it's very difficult to do. So the second Zuki, you want to learn Ryū. Ryū means you are flowing like a river. Nice and relaxed and flowing. So the first one is we're trying to make it as fast as possible. The next one, we want to be flowing into it. So we're using a little bit of Kata Sensei and we're using Sensei Schmitz as well. We're combining what I think is maybe the best of both worlds. All right, trying to use your potential and attacking and this Ryū. And if you use this arm correctly, you've maintained that connectivity and you've disrupted them. Yeah? We get this, we got the connectivity using the Ryū. But I can use this hand as well. Instead of taking it away and punching, you missed your chance. Okay? So here, try and get the last few moves because we've literally run out of time. So 1, and then get this relaxed, this moving like a river, Ryū. Yeah? Do it again. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, 1.
Someone see again then?
Yeah. When you're doing it grading, you don't do that. You have to vary the time to give them a chance to show their moves. But it puts them on the spot. It gives them another dimension instead of this. That's not good to anybody. Yeah, but here. Another one, last one. Disrupted his mind. You ain't having another go. Carry on, last one. Mind and body and finding how you can overlap it. Because we do a lot of the body, but we don't certain amount of us don't use our minds, or don't use the tools, don't use the words that are available there. So when you practice, you might be proficient at the body moves, the techniques, but you're missing a whole item that should be part of it. And people struggle sometimes to get a good technique or good timing or good posture even. It's because you're not using your mind to feel it, to feel, to look, to relax. Unless you check yourself, if you're not good, how can your attack be good on your opponent? You have to feel comfortable. You have to give, in some ways it oozes out from you how confident you are that you are going to take this person out. No expression, not giving anything away, having that potential energy inside, yeah? Having a game plan. What are you going to do? Okay. Any questions? No? That's good, because I'm pushing myself on this. I've been putting it off and putting it off. So those of you who are here today, you're fortunate. Whether you've had a good explanation of it, that's down to my hesitancy to actually do this course on this subject, because it's very difficult to describe. It's something that you have to take away and make it personal. Nobody else can help you. It's you that's got to develop it, not just your techniques, but in here, to assess things, to react to them. Yeah? As you get older, you need these things. You can't rely on just the body. In fact, if you start thinking about your mind a lot more when you're practicing, it's a whole, you must all love martial arts, because the amount of years, if I added up all the years that are here, it would be ridiculous. Yeah? But if you start thinking about this, it can add a whole new avenue of enjoyment, and combining it with your techniques, no matter what style you do. So when you get back, do you still do Sanbon Gomitis? Sanbon Gomitis. I think those are no. I think Sanbon Gomitis are really good. I wish we still did them. We did them a long time ago. But it shows you, Sanbon Gomitis 1, 2, 3 step, and then you do your defense. This is a good one to do, because you are watching them do the attack. You're watching them doing the attack from the left and the right hand side. And on the third one, you do your uki, an attack. Good. Wish we still did them. And occasionally we do a few on a Saturday. You know, it's a basic way of watching them move, developing your go-no-sen and sen-no-sen. Yes. It gets you used to this combination of attacks coming at you instead of just one attack. So, and I'm sure you do partner works that you can maybe take a few little bits away, and especially this little bit of connection, this connectivity, not just bodily but mentally as well. Yeah. And those of you who train with the Wado Academy, try and think of these in another way as well. Expand the explanation of it. Yep. Okay, stand up. Okay, thank you for journeying down. A lot of you travelled a long way. A lot of people only come on this course because we go for an Indian after. All right, so you're more than welcome to join us. All right, if not, okay. But hope you've enjoyed it. Yeah, hopefully it's opened up another avenue for you to think about and discuss. Okay, so fit together. QK. Hey, nice. Nice. Hey. Hey, thank you.